one day. No, when did I start reading this book? Around 8 o'clock. It is now 1 in the morning. So like 5 hours. It took me 5 hours. It never takes me long to read a Kasie West book. It never takes me long. Because this is how it always works out. With P.S. I Like You, I opened up and I read like the first chapter and I was like, okay, I'll come back to it. Flash forward to the snowstorm we had in February. I'm in Houston if you're watching this from another spot. Snowstorm we had in February. I'm locked in and I'm like, I'll read a couple of things. I get like, this much through it and I'm like, okay, like it's alright. I'll probably end up stopping after a minute and I'm like, done. This book, I started reading it Did I start reading this in March? No. I think it's a little funny and coincidental, but I started reading this in February of the beginning of this year. And as I started reading it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna come back to it. I only got to the part where she asks Hayden, to be her fake boyfriend, her fill-in Bradley, and I got there and I was like, I'll come back to it. And today, well, technically yesterday, because I started at 8 o'clock on the 17th, 8 p.m. on the 17th, and I ended at 1 on the 18th. But I sat down and I said, you know what? I'm not doing anything else. I don't really want to watch TV. I practiced my guitar. I did some schoolwork. I'll sit down and I'll read this. And I sat down and I got to the point where, like, hey, it was kind of cute. Okay, so if you're going to think, too, is that, like, literally while I was reading this book, I was thinking about Hayden Christensen. If you don't know who that is, he plays Anakin, the boy who becomes Darth Vader in Star Wars. And I started reading this, and that's who I pictured. And then he said his name was Hayden. So, but I started reading it, and it only took me 5 hours, too, because I took a lot of breaks, a lot of moments where I had to, like, gush to my siblings and be like, I feel like I could have finished it faster if, like, but it's good that I gave myself little breaks. It makes it so I'm not bored with it. But it never takes me long to finish a Kasie West book. As soon as I actually allow myself to sit down and read it, I'm done with it the same day. And I hate that I literally finished this book in a day, because the time period that I started reading it to, I literally forgot the first chapter, and so I had to go back and reread the whole chapter. Like, I had it summarized in my head, but I didn't really know what was going on, so I reread the first chapter, and I just read this whole thing in a day, because, like, it's just so good in less than a day, because it hasn't been 24 hours, but it is so good. I highly recommend Kasie West. I highly recommend her. This is the second book I've read from her, and I could not put it down until I finished, and I finished it in a day. Great. If she ever makes any kind of adaptation of, like, any of her books, I would pray to God that I can land a role as one of her characters, because every character she has is such a deep and profound meaning. I went into this book being like, oh my gosh, she is like kind of like a little snob, and we're kind of reading this as the point of like, oh, like I'm the snob and I deserve to be. And she purposely sets it up that way, which is great. And then you get to it and you're like, she's trying to make a change. And then, like, for me, myself, I was like, dang, because everybody, I feel like, has that moment where they're just kind of like, let me reevaluate myself. If you haven't had that moment, you need to have that moment, because that is crucial in life. A reevaluation. To think you're perfect is like, what? Nobody's perfect, The only thing is, like, love yourself, but nobody's perfect. And, like, Gia reevaluated herself, and she showed you that reevaluating yourself, it might come with losses, but it is not bad. It is not bad. Gia goes through her Villian Era when reevaluating herself, and the Villian Era is basically just being like, once you start to reevaluate yourself or like stand up for yourself, admit to your faults and stuff, you have people who are not going to be okay with that. And that sucks. Like, they're not going to be okay with the fact that you're, basically that you're acting different and you're not who they wanted you to be. In this case, Jules was, well, Claire, Jules, Lainey, they were mad at her because she lied. She admitted that she lied, though. Jules was more mad. Jules didn't want to accept the fact that she kept on egging her on. And the whole reason why she had to get the Villian boyfriend was because she was scared that all of her friends was going to leave her. And she told her friends this. Like, I felt like you guys are going to leave me because you, like, Jules is always like this. And Jules is trying to take, like, this head leader spot that I didn't even know was there. And then they're like, yeah, whatever. Whatever major loser, stay away from me. You know? Whatever major loser, stay. There we go. Okay, and so, like, they try to act like all the stuff that she's saying isn't true, and it's totally true. And so she enters into her Villian Era. Ooh. And suddenly, excuse me, her standing up for herself and her, like, deciding not to accept this, even with her brother Drew, with her parents, like, there's her parents, deciding to not accept this, deciding to have feelings, to not be a robot, to not push everything down, made her the villain. She changed, and that's not true. Everybody should change. Like, change is good, even though it sucks. Sometimes it's good. And just okay, so P.S. I Like You was pretty good because it was really lovey-dovey. The Villian boyfriend was extremely awesome because not only was it lovey-dovey, look, I'm a hopeless romantic, but you can't blame me. A hopeless romantic because of TV. The romantic shows and videos make my heart just go ba-dum-ba-dum-bum. If you like that, you should check out my upcoming songs. That's one of my songs called Hopeless Romantic. Anyways, it's a little promotion. But so, like, I love these little rom-coms, and, like, nothing does a rom-com better than a book. Like, I'm in love with the book. I'm in love with the character that I could never have, and that is the best thing. Okay, but so, freaking, not only does it go into that, but it goes into self-evaluation, and that's why I really like The Villian Boyfriend. Love this book. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Peace out.